Hi everyone, it's Dina here. I must apologise, I haven't done a video for some time. I think we've had family, friends stay in. Then my phone broke and I couldn't video anything or take photos of anything. And then I wasn't well, so yeah, it's been a bit of a long month, I think. But anyway, I'm hoping to get back into recording a few videos. Today I'm just doing I'm hoping it's going to be a bit of a quick and simple card. It may not turn out that way. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I'm going to be playing around with the lovely new wishing well. That's Star Well. I think some of these I have written on what they are, but not all of them. So I do apologise if I can't give you the names of everything. But yeah, as I said, I'm hoping it's just going to be a bit of a quick and simple card, but it may not turn out like that. But we shall see. I usually have a card to show you right at the beginning, but I haven't done one. I'm just going to sort of go for it on this video and hope it turns out okay. Which is not something I actually do very often. Usually, as I said, I like to have something already planned in my head that what I'm going to do. Anyway, so as I said, I'm going to be using the wishing well. I'm going to be using this path as well. I'm not sure what it's called, whether it's just called path. I'm not sure. I haven't written what this one is. And I never keep my stamps in the original packaging. I usually change them into these like plastic wallets. They're like CD wallets for the smaller stamps. And I do have some of the larger stamps in something similar, but they're not CD wallets. I don't really know what they're called. But yeah, I'm just going to sort of roughly position, just so I've got an idea of where I'm stamping everything. I might not actually stamp the whole path. I might perhaps mask some of it off here, so maybe I'll bring that down. And I'm just as I said, just trying to sort of position everything just to see where I'm going to stamp it. So I think we might go about there, I think. Right, let's grab my stamping block. Now I always like to stamp on the slant, so I'm just turning that round. Let's grab my black ink. Just going to make sure that that's reasonably straight on there. Hopefully we have a better chance of stamping it straight. So I'm just using my Versafine Clarin Nocturne. Do actually need to get another one of these ink pads because my the casing on mine is cracked. I'm just inking that up really well. I'm not sure how juicy this ink pad is actually. I haven't re-inked it for a little while, so I'm hoping this is going to work. If not, I might have to re-ink it quickly. So I think we had it about there, didn't we? Just trying to make sure it's centered. And then I'm just going to grab my stamp press. So I'm just letting that ink seep in a little bit. Before taking it off, and it's actually stamped really well. Let's give that a bit of a clean. Now I think actually I might emboss this if I can find my embossing powder. I had a bit of a rearrange on my desk today and I've put everything in a different place, so I'm probably going to struggle finding things. Nothing new there, I guess, for me. I'm always losing everything anyway, aren't I? But yeah, I'll probably struggle to find everything more today. Right, I'm just going to heat emboss this. Now, I'm going to have to bring this up because I don't know if this is going to pick the sound of the heat gun up. It's really bizarre. When I did a live a few days ago, the recording picked me up speaking, but it didn't pick the noise of the heat gun up, which was really bizarre. So I started calling it my magic heat gun. I don't know if it's going to do this on this recording, but I thought I'd mention it just in case, you know, you can see me waving the heat gun over it but not actually hear it. I think we're about there. So what I'm going to do, I've actually got a bit of scrap card here. I'm just going to lay that over the bottom of the wishing well, because I said I might not stamp the whole path. I think I'm just going to stamp just a small section of it. So yeah, I think I might just do it so it's about there and not, so I might just not ink up that top section. I think I'll just ink up the bottom section, and if there's any gaps, what I can then do is fill it in with some with a fine liner pen. So you probably won't be able to see here, but I'm only inking up just a small section of this path. So let me hold it up. Yeah, I think we'll stick to about that. As I said, I will just fill in any lines, any extra gaps with the fine liner pen. So you can see I've only stamped sort of up to that section. And then I'll stamp it about there, I think. Yeah, I think, you know, stamps are brilliant because although, you know, you can have a really large stamp and it's got all this lovely detail in it, you don't have to stamp the whole thing. You can just use a small section of it. You can mask areas off. You know, it is great, you know, the things you can do with stamps. And actually, I don't think I'm going to need to fill anything else in there. I think that's just about the right, you know. Where's my cloth gone? I was expecting there to be a few gaps and things, but there isn't. You know what, it's funny, I've had this path for absolutely ages and I've never used it, but I really like it. There's actually something I really want to try with the two little fairies sitting down with the path. I've never done it. One day I'll get round to doing it. Right, I think I'll just emboss that again. So I should have said this is just Wow Ultra Fine Clear Embossing Powder. I do like to use the ultra fine one when stamping. So I'm just embossing this again. And like I said, I don't know if it's going to pick the sound of the heat gun up or not. I think I'm going to have to watch it back and just check to see if it does or not. Right, now we've got that. Now, because I'm going for very sort of very light colours here, and I don't want to do, you know, I don't want to go overboard on this. I'm not even going to mask this off today. I think I'm just going to go straight in with the background inks, but like I said, I'm working with very light colours. I don't want to overload it with ink today. I'm just grabbing my blending brushes here, so I think we'll go blue and green. Let's put them back. Now, where's my blue? So I'm going to use Distress ink for the sky. But I will be using some of the Elements inks for the grass. I haven't quite got a nice sky colour yet in the Lavinia. So I am missing a few colours for that. I do need to get a few more. Right, so I'm using Faded Jeans here in the Distress Ink. Now, when I'm doing this, because I said I want quite a nice simple card, not, you know, I'm not going to be putting loads of grasses on this. I just want, you know, very, very, very simple. I'm not going to bring the ink right to the edge. I'm going to have a bit of a white space all around the edge, which will then hopefully draw your eye into the centre. So I'm just going to start sort of where the well starts and then fade that ink out into the edges. I'm not too worried about going over the well too much. You know, I am going to colour that in, and hopefully you won't notice, because of sort of the colours and that I'm going to be using, you won't notice it too much, you know, if there's a blue undercoat. So I'm just filling in them areas between the well. Then I'm working the colour in around the well and fading it out to the edge, because I want that nice white space. And I think that might do for the sky. Now for the grass, you know, I keep meaning to use this. So these are the Hunky Dory Mylar template sheets. I still haven't done anything with these, and I'm so excited when I spotted these, because I think there's just going to be so many uses for them. So what I did think was, you know, you can create your own like horizon lines and things with them simply by cutting into them. Now I'm going to do it landscape way here, just because then, you know, if you wanted to do like a 7x7 card, or if you wanted to have a 5x7 sort of in a landscape way, you've then got that option. So I'm simply just going to cut into this, I think. Now it's relatively easy to cut. The scissors are sort of going through it fairly easy here, and I'm just going to cut sort of a wavy line. Now what I like about this is, you know, you have got sort of, if you want to place it down and do the sky area first and then place that bit down, you could then do the grass area. So you've got both sides that you can use. What I'm actually going to do is cut the whole sheet. I'm not going to do this on camera, but, you know, I will cut it into sort of maybe some hills, whatever. You can just cut it, you know, I think really. Where's my Sharpie pen? So I might, let's see how many I could do. So I might do another cut about there, and another one maybe there. No, maybe you could get another 2 in there, sort of there and there. So I'll probably cut another 2 landscape, 2 or 3 in there. I said I'm not going to do that on camera right now, but for now I am just going to use this. Oh, with this I will say you can actually die cut into this as well. Now I probably will do another video at some point, because what my intention is to actually cut, let me get another one out. So what I'm planning on doing is actually cutting a rectangle out of this, so that when you say do a nice card, you've then just got a centerpiece to work with, if you want that white space again around the edge without sort of layering too many, you know, using too many layers of cards. So I don't know if that makes sense. I'll probably do a video demonstration on it again at some point, but yeah, and you could even cut your own circles out of there for sun and moon masks and everything, and then you've got them all your own sizes. I think, yeah, I'm quite excited about that. I think it'll be used quite a lot. Right, for now I'm just going to use this piece, and what I'm going to do is just lay it there. I don't know, where are we going to lay it? I'm just working out the best bit. Where do we want it? I think maybe about there, actually. So I'm using the Elements here, Elements inks, and this is Bermuda. Now I will say you do need to be a bit careful with these because they are very, very juicy. So definitely dab off any excess ink. I tend to do it in the lid, just because then you're not wasting too much of the ink. And again, I want it very, very light. So I want to keep that sort of white space, you know, around the edge. So I'm just picking up any excess ink that I can from there, from that lid, before getting any more. Let's add a bit more. I'm just trying to dab off as much as I can because I just want it a nice light, you know, a light colouring. So, and then fade it out into that edge. I'm not coming anywhere near the edge on this. Now let's just darken that line a little bit there. There we go. Now what I quite like to do, I've got quite a nice sort of line there, but what I'm going to do is bring it up a little bit higher, the green ink, just because then obviously when you see like in the distance a nice sort of scene, you know, you're not just going to have a dead straight line, are you, where the grass ends and the sky starts. Sometimes in the distance it looks a bit sort of hazy. I don't know if that's the right word. So I'm just going to bring that green up into the sky area a little bit, just so it, you know, looks a bit hazy in the distance. So the only reason I've done that nice line there is to sort of ground the wells, to make it look like it is actually, you know, it's not floating in the air. Right, I think we'll sort of leave it at that. Maybe I'll add a bit more ink down here. Hopefully I am working on the camera. It's always really hard to see if you're in camera shot. There we go. I think I'll stop there with the inks. So as you can see, I've got a nice white area around this edge. What I could do, I might maybe put a sentiment. That was the intention. I might use a sentiment down here. We'll see. I'll do that at the end though. So I'm going to grab my fairy foragers. Now mine are quite old. I've had mine for some time. You can see they're very well used. I was thinking they would look quite nice dotted around the wishing well here. So maybe have one down there, perhaps one up there. Yeah, I think we'll do that. So let's find that black ink. I think the fairies will go quite nicely with the well, as it's a bit of a wishing well. Go about there, I think. There we go. Again, I'm just stamping these in black. Now I'm not going to bother embossing these. Oh, my stamps come off the thing. So what I'm going to do is just push that down onto my stamp block. And let's get rid of that excess ink. Hopefully that's stuck okay and I don't lose it while I try and stamp it. Then we'll go about there, I think. Yeah. Let's pop them back so I don't lose them all. And then I think I will stamp just a few odd little flowers down here. So maybe these flowers, what are these ones called? Flower pots. Now, I'm really annoyed because I've actually lost one of these. I don't tend to use the actual little pots. I guess you could stick a few little pots around the well. I only really tend to use the little greenery bits here. I really like using these. I use them on quite a lot. So I'm just trying to work out where I want everything. I think I'm just going to stamp a couple either side. So we'll go about there, I think. Stamp that a bit too high up, but it doesn't matter because I will I can just fill it in with a fine liner. Now what I'm going to do is, because I want to stamp another one a bit lower down, I'm just going to lay this mask down that I just created. It'll actually be a bit better than paper, because then you've got the actual horizon line there. So let's go about there. And then what I might do is stamp one overlapping the well actually. Now I'm not too worried about, you know, the fact that the colour's not sort of showing up too much there. It's looking a bit lost. I'm going to be adding a bit of Sakura over that at the end, so it will sort of pop out a bit more than it is at the moment. And maybe just one more, a bit lower. There we go. Now, the question is, do I want to leave it like that or add any more grasses? So I think I'm going to leave it like that for the moment. We'll maybe add some colour to it and see what it looks like. Let's add that sentiment at the bottom. So these ones are called Heartfelt Verses. And I think Birthday Wishes, it's just got to be, hasn't it? Because it's a wishing well. So I'm using my gridded block here. And I'm just trying to line the sentiment up with the grid. Hopefully that'll be all right there. And then we'll stamp it about there, I think. I think that's about central on the card. Let's go for it. So I'm just letting that ink seep in. As I said, hopefully I'm working in camera shot. Yeah, there we go. Let's pop that back so I don't lose it. I have a bit of a habit of throwing stamps down and then losing them. Right, yeah, so I think we'll leave it at that for the moment. Maybe colour it in, add a bit of sparkles to it and see where we are with that. So I think today I might use my colouring pencils, or what I've just noticed, I'm going to just wipe that off. So I don't end up with ink on anything. And that's the joy of these, you know, if you use it to mask anything, you know, you can just wipe off any ink quite easily. Right, so I think we'll do the sort of brown and greens. Brown and greens? No, brown and greys. That's what I meant. I'm just laying a block underneath it just because my mat's quite spongy and I don't want to pop the pencils through. So these are just Castle Art pencils. Obviously you could use watercolours to colour it with. It's up to you. So I'm just adding some dark tones first to sort of give it a wood, you know, a wood look, and then some lighter, add a lighter brown here. So I always like to try and use sort of 2 colour tones when I'm colouring, just because it adds a bit of depth to the image. There we go. So I think that's all the wooden area coloured. And then let's bring in some grey tones now for that stone. So again, I'm using sort of two tones of grey. I'm going to use quite a dark grey for sort of areas like this. And then just, you know, where you think it should be, sort of where there should be some darker tones, just go in with that darker pencil first. I'm being quite rough here because it's not exactly a, you know, it's not very sort of intricate, you know, image. Ooh, I might even go a slightly lighter grey than that. We'll use this one first just to blend out that darker tone, but then I might come in with an even lighter grey, so perhaps that one. I think that's a bit better. Like I said, I always like to use sort of a few colour tones, as I think it just adds some depth to the image. I just realised I didn't colour the bucket in. And again, on the roof tiles, I'm doing them grey because, you know, they look like they could sort of be slate tiles on the roof. And again on the rockery, now you'll notice that, you know, because I was quite light in the colours, you're not really seeing too much of that blue and the green coming through on things, which is great. So I'm just, again, with the darker grey, sort of around the edges of the rocks. And then let's go in with that lighter grey again. Yeah, I think that's it for the greys. And then need to colour that bucket in, don't we? So again, I'm going to use sort of 2 colour tones. Let's use quite a lighter brown just on top. Let's colour that bit of rope in as well. I missed that out, didn't I? Now the little handle on the bucket and stuff, I will use a Sakura pen on that. Let's colour those fairy wings in. What colour shall we do? I think we'll go for a pinky purple, just because the flowers, I'm going to do sort of a pinky purpley colour. There we go. And because I've used pencils, whoops. Oh, I need them out actually. I forgot. I always like to add a bit of shading on the grass. So what I'm going to do is just around the rockery bit here, I'm going to darken this area and then fade it out a little bit. And again, all around the rocks, I'm going to go quite dark with this green pencil and just fade it out. I will also add some sort of grassy areas in just a minute as well. So it's more sort of like shadow this with this colour, you know, with this green. But what I might do is use the pencil blend solution on this, and then I'll add some streaks of grass in there. So let's grab this out. So this is just Zest It pencil blend. If I can get it open. And then what I want is my little paper stumps. I think that is actually a browny grey colour. So I'm just going to dip it in and then blend those pencil lines. There we go. Let's go around on the rocks as well. It's just to soften those sort of, I think sometimes when you colour with pencils, and where I've been quite rough here as well, you know, you can end up with quite streaky pencil marks. This is just great for softening those lines up. Again on here. Right, and then I'm just going to go on the grass bit and just blend those lines out. I don't know if you can see there how much it's sort of softening that green out and fading it out. Sometimes it's hard to sort of show all this on the camera. But it is just softening those lines a little bit, and I've just realised I've put some finger marks down, which isn't great. Let's see if I can get those off in just a moment. Right, there we go. Now I'm just going to use an eraser if I can find it. Where's that one? There it is. And I've managed to get some fingerprints up here, so I'm just going to carefully rub that off, if they will. No, it doesn't look like they're going to come off, those ones. Which is a bit annoying. I just don't know how I've managed that. Well, maybe I'll have to use some glitter to cover that up. Anyway, let's grab that green pencil again. Now what I'm going to do is just add some little streaks of grass in here. Sort of coming out from the rockery area. And then again up here. Sort of amongst the, I think it's lavender, isn't it? Did I even say what that stamp was called? Let's see if I can find it. Oh yeah, it was in the pots, wasn't it? That's what it was. So I'm literally just doing a few random streaks. There we go. I think we'll stop there. Let's put this pencil back. And then we shall grab some Sakura pens. So I'm using, I think this is Stardust, Clear Star. And then I want a nice pinky purpley colour. Let's try that. Yeah, we'll use that one. So this is Rose. And where those little lavender pieces are coming up, I'm just going to go over it. I know lavender's probably more of a purpley colour, but I'm going for pink, and I'm just going on top of those sort of lavender pieces there just to add a bit of colour. And the Sakura does actually colour the black really well. Yep, there we go. And I think what I'm going to do is grab a Sakura pen, not Sakura, a Micron pen, and just bring those lines down a little bit from those flowers, just so it grounds them onto that horizon line a little bit, because at the moment it looks like they're floating. There we go. And then the Clear Star, I'm going to go around the metal parts on the bucket. And it just adds, I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up, just a little bit of sparkle. And then to finish, what I might actually do is my usual, some little daisies around the bottom. I don't know if my yellow is going to work for me today. I think it's going to play up. No, it's not working very well. Oh, maybe just enough to add a few daisies here. And around the bottom of the rockery, the pathway. So I'm just adding just a few random dots, but I'm leaving some space between them, just so that then I can add a few white petals. So I love adding the daisies. I think it just really finishes a project. So, and again, a white Sakura pen. And I'm literally just drawing some lines coming off of those centres. You know, I'm not even really making sure that they're sort of petal shaped or anything. I'm just doing little dashy lines coming off. Just adding quite a few of them. It does take a bit of time though when you've got quite a few of them. But I said, I think it really finishes the card off. Don't actually think I did a yellow dot there, so I'm just going to add a yellow dot in the centre of that one. You could also, if the yellow is not showing up very well, you could actually just use some yellow paint and a ball tool. I have done that before. Like I said, sorry, it does take a bit of time when you've got a few of them. I think I had one more dot there, didn't I? So you can do some sort of really small, really tiny ones, and then on others you could make the petals a little bit longer. And even a bit thicker as well. Right, I think we'll sort of stop there. Yep. What you could do to finish, I don't know if I've got any at hand. Doesn't look like I do. What you could do is just add some stickles or a little bit of glitter around the well to make it look sort of really mystical. And obviously when you do yours, try not to put fingerprints on it. I just don't know where that's come from. It doesn't even look like it's ink. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, I'll add a bit of glitter, and then what I would do is mount that onto a 5x7 card blank. So yeah, that has actually ended up a fairly simple card without using too much. I always find simple cards actually quite difficult to do because it's knowing when to stop, isn't it? But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that, except for the fingerprints. I said I might just add some glitter to try and cover that up a little bit, but I'm not sure where my glitter is. Anyway, yeah, thank you for joining me. And as I said, I will try and do a few more videos. I've got a bit of a deadline coming up for a project, so I need to finish that, but hopefully next week or the week after I'll try and record something else. But yeah, thank you for joining me, and I will hopefully be back again soon. Bye everyone.